up, and welcome back to Interpreting the Stars, where today we're taking another look at a horror film. I feel like we've been talking a lot about horror films lately, but this time it's Gretel and Hansel, which is yet another adaptation of the story that we've all read as children in one form or another. This is one of the films that I wasn't really looking forward to in general. If I didn't review movies, this is probably one that I would have skipped altogether because nothing about the marketing really lured me in story-wise, other than the fact that this was Hansel and Gretel. But because we've seen masterpieces like Hansel and Gretel Witch Hunters, there was no need to see this one. I'm kidding, of course, but once that I heard Sophia Lillis was in this movie, I was more on board. I think she's a great actress, especially for horror. The real question is if this will be a perfect addition to her horror roster, or if it's the opposite. Time to come out of the Umbra, and let's get crackin'. This review is brought to you by the word of the day, Umbra, a shaded area like the alleyway downtown where Shifty Tim tries to sell me M&Ms. Gretel and Hansel is about the titular brother and sister duo, Gretel and Hansel, who after traversing through the dark and mysterious woods while starving, come upon a cabin filled with goodies. Inside, they find an old lady promising them to keep them fed and provide them a roof over their head, but something is off about this woman. Will Gretel's increasing nightmares prove to be a sign to get out of Dodge, or will her appetite for food and the unknown keep her there? One thing about this film that is unmistakable and unarguable is the fact that it is absolutely stunning. It's gorgeous. Whether or not you'll like the film as a whole is, at this point, irrelevant because of how beautiful it is from a visual standpoint. I'm talking about production design, lighting, colors, cinematography, and keeping everything framed really nicely. I'm not kidding. Pause this film at any given moment and you'll probably end up with something great looking. The whole thing is like one photo op after the next, even the sound design, constantly reverberating and switching from something deeply synthetic and haunting to something more standard and expected, and that switch in music and sound really helps the film feel absolutely uncomfortable and almost scary. If this film had a better story or characters that you were rooting for, then maybe it would be scary, because the same goes for visuals. Beautiful, yes, constantly following photography rules like rules of thirds or whatever to make it look immaculate, yes, but it's also as dark and haunting as the soundtrack. Basically, I can't stop praising this film for the stuff going on behind the scenes. However, my BTS category is basically post-production. The stuff going on in pre-production or planning stages, that's the stuff that's kind of bland to me, particularly in the writing and character development. This film is really short, something like 90 minutes long from beginning to end, and yet it feels at least 3 hours long because it's not really going anywhere. The kids go through the woods. They find the cabin with the old lady, the witch, and the food. Everything that you expect from the days of the old fable. But once that they get to the cabin, I feel like the story becomes stagnant and nothing really happens from that point forward. Nobody's trying to do anything. Not even the witch. At least it doesn't really feel like that. If she does have a grand plan, I don't really have a clear understanding of it. It's just haunting imagery after haunting imagery, which is fine, but I mean, you could put the thing on mute if that's what you prefer, right? When you have stories that become stagnant from such an early point, the climax doesn't really feel like a culmination of anything before it because the pacing also becomes stagnant. There is no real rising tension. There's just stuff that happens. The best thing that I can say about it is that you can probably remove most of the stuff found in the second act and make it a short film, which would be a bit of a better project than a full-length film because they can get straight to the point instead of swimming around it for an hour. But if you remove the second act, you would probably remove a lot of pretty visuals. Yes, I imagine you probably would, but a pretty movie without a story is still not much of a movie. A cake without sugar isn't much of a cake, you dig? Alright, time to look at that final score. This film is not bad from an unbiased standpoint. Like I said, there's a lot of technical marvels happening here, especially with the visuals, the cinematography, and sound. A lot of that alone is haunting and probably the best light, even without a story. But the story is very important, so my unbiased score is 66%, but I was incredibly bored with this, and I expected so much more, so my bias score is actually 48%, averaging everything out to a final score of 57%, 57 out of 100 possible stars, granting Gretel and Hansel with a letter grade of D, narrowly missing an F score. I would be really disappointed if this film failed overall because of how immaculate it is at times, so I'm okay with a D score. Let me know your thoughts on this film in the comments down below, though. did you enjoy it? Is it getting too harsh of judgments? Let me know below. As for YouTube, you know what to do. Hit the subscribe button if you like this review and would like to see some others like it. Hit the thumbs up button because that always helps out my channel. And don't forget about the little bell icon because that'll help notify you when I come out with my next review. And until then, peace out.